Buckle up, space travelers. It's time to go live on S4 with Eric Cooper.
Prepare to go to the edge.
3 years. Over 1,000 followers. 30,000 downloads in the archives. Welcome to S4.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to S4, the official radio broadcast of Forest Moon Paranormal, with host Eric Cooper and our panel of enlightened minds. Coming to you live from FMP headquarters located in the heart of Skagit Valley, Washington, at the base of the majestic North Cascade Mountains. We will take you through a journey of exploration as we examine every aspect of the metaphysical. From spirits, UFOs, Bigfoot, and conspiracies, to grounding, protection, astral travel, and everything in between, leaving you with a better understanding and comprehension of the world around you, and the entities that inhabit it.
Join us every Saturday night at Spreaker.com and locally on KSVU 90.1. Don't forget to check out our new webpage at www.s-4radio.com.
Now sit back, open your mind, get ready, because this is S4.
Good evening or morning, depending on where you are, and welcome to S4, the voice of Forest Moon Paranormal, coming to you live from the FMP headquarters in the heart of the Cascade Mountains in Concrete, Washington. FMP is a highly active emergency response team for all aspects of the paranormal, from aggressive hauntings to alien interactions, Bigfoot and other cryptids, and everything in between that's terrifying. S4 is the voice where we discuss these things in detail. Not only can you find S4 right here on Spreaker, but for our local listeners, also on KSVU 90.1 FM from 10 to 12 Saturday nights with our pre-recorded shows. So tonight we're talking winter preparedness and safety. The power goes out. You have 2 feet of snow. What's some of the things you need to consider and do to prepare? You're driving on a snowy highway and you slide off the road at 2 a.m. and there's no traffic for hours. What should you have stocked in your car? What do you need to do to prepare your home for the winter season? That's what we'll be discussing. So tonight with us we have Cole Wegleitner, our technical analyst, and our Keith Andrews, our alien race specialist. So how are we doing tonight, guys?
Perfect.
Not bad at all. How about you?
Oh, it's coming on winter. And you know, we did make a commercial, but I do have to say, you know, we have Red Wheeler Weiler Publishing.
No. Red Wheel Wiser.
There we go. And we have a commercial made for them now. And they're awesome. So they're actually sending us some books. And they've offered to give us some author names that we find interesting to have on here S4 as guests. And, you know, this goes out to all of our listeners as well. If you got someone you want to hear, I can do my damnedest to get them on the show. And potentially to Paracon 2020. We'll see how it goes. So, I don't know about you. Do you have snow yet, Keith?
Nope. I'm allergic to it, so we didn't order any.
Okay. Fair enough. It's, I don't recall it freezing this early in the season. It usually waits till at least Halloween or, shortly after Halloween before it starts the first freeze. And it's already started. What do you think, Cole?
I think there's people in Siberia right now cursing your name.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I'm just talking Washington State weather, though.
Yeah, honestly, it's been a little weird.
It has, and I'm not spooked because we're generally ready anyway. It's just, we got new tires on the car, and that's something we're going to be talking about tonight is tires on your car. The first hour tonight, we're going to be talking home improvements, home preparation, things you should do to the house and the property. Second hour, we'll go into, and of course it depends on if we're done talking about the house, but second hour, we'll go into traveling in vehicles. And, third hour is kind of carry everything over, and third hour, we'll talk about survival and hypothermia and some of the things you need to watch for health-wise. So starting out, before I forget, Cole, what can you tell us about Patreon?
Patreon.com. We have our very own page there. You should go check it out. We have 4 tiers available for you. It's a great way to help support S4 and FMP to help us continue doing what we do. And, get on there. You get some awesome stuff from us. So get your butt on there. Get yourself a tier.
So the only reason I brought that up is because, I've downloaded 10 different files just on winter preparedness. And if you're on, I can't remember which tier it is, but on one of the tiers,
third tier.
Third tier, you get all of our notes. You get all the notes and files and whatnot from the show tonight. And it's great information. It comes from FEMA, CDC, it comes from Red Cross, it comes from ready.gov, it comes from Take Winter by Storm if you're in Washington State. And, I get, when we're an international show, we're listened to in Australia. Australia, it's getting on summer, not winter. So it's kind of weird, but they get that. They can tell us more about winter right now than we can coming into it. Plus, I think they get, I don't know, Michelle, do they get more snow than we do? She'll answer in chat or in the FMP group. Last year was just weird. Last year we had 2 feet of snow and we lost power for 3 days. I think it was 3 days. It might have been 5.
You lost for 5. I lost for 3.
Yeah. And it came back on Christmas Eve day. And, Santa Claus
was... Here's the funny thing.
What's that?
You guys are in Washington State. I'm in Kelowna, BC. Mm-hmm. We're further north than you, and last year I think we got 6 days with snow. I think. I'm not complaining. I don't like the ice.
Of course not. And I need to get my truck going because my truck is my snow truck, and it's got all my survival gear in it. But it hasn't snowed
definitely
yet.
Take the Honda out.
Huh?
I said, then definitely take the Honda out for the drive. Don't take the one that's all geared up for the snow. Always take the 12 tires.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, so we have a Ford Focus, and it's got road huggers on it. It's got medium level what do you call it? Medium level traction. It's ready for it. So we'll be okay. We're going to get into tires a lot here later on in the show. But, so getting your house ready. So I have all these checklists in front of me, and, cleaning out the gutters is one thing. Why is it important to clean out gutters, Cole?
Clean out gutters?
Yeah.
Well, if they get clogged, they will carry the water, they will hold the water inside of them. That water will freeze, and they will fall and hit you in the head.
Good point. Good point. Yeah,
I've had that happen. It's not that funny, okay?
It depends on whether you're on the receiving end or the observing end.
Get your gutters cleaned out. Turn off your exterior faucets because, like I have seen, that your faucets will freeze. They will blow up, especially if they're only made of PVC pipe. As far as the pipes that come up. Replace outdoor light bulbs as needed. Scan your roof for damage and repair it as necessary, especially when you talk about the weight of snow that's going to be on your roof, potentially. Clean and store patio or deck furniture. Cover your garden beds. All right, so let's talk about covering your garden beds for a minute. Most people, when they have strawberries, for example, they usually fill up the strawberry beds with straw or hay, and that's good enough to insulate your strawberry plants. Right now, I know everyone's putting out their tulip bulbs, putting them in the ground, because the more frost you have, the more cells in the tulips develop, and you're going to have really bright flowers. It's weird, but with bulbs, it's the frost that determines how bright your flowers are in the spring. Cover the grill and store propane tanks. Well, if you have a trailer, you're not going to store your propane tanks. Some of us actually use our grill in the winter. So if you're not going to use the grill, cover it up and store it. Ensure that deck handrails can support someone if they fall in icy conditions. Good point. Worst thing you can do is have someone go out in your deck and slip and grab the handrail and it breaks. Inspect security equipment for damage from winter conditions. So if you have cameras, I would get them insulated. And with anything that's outdoors, make sure you check and put fresh batteries in. The cold does drain batteries. Caulk around the doors and windows. You don't want cold air going through holes and cracks in windows and underneath doors. Drain hoses of any lawn irrigation equipment. So your garden hose, you want to drain the water out and put them in your garage. Otherwise, they will crack. Make sure your snow shovels are accessible and clear walkways and doorways of snow if you get any yet. In the case of ice damming. So ice damming is what we were talking about with the gutters. So if you have clogged gutters and you get snow on your roof, it melts a little bit. All that rain, melt water goes into your clogged gutters, and then it freezes again. It causes excess weight, and that's what makes them break. That's called ice damming. It's always good to get up on the roof and when you get breaks and clear that snow off the roof. And we actually have companies here in concrete that will come out and do it for you for a minimal fee. So empty and cover the swimming pool. I don't have a swimming pool, so I don't have to worry about that. Do you have a swimming pool?
No, but I'm looking at getting a hot tub. With hot tubs, you do not have to winterize them that hard because they're already fairly well insulated underneath. But do make sure that if they have automatic fill from an outside source, that hose itself is well insulated.
Dude, you're getting a hot tub?
We're talking about it.
Ooh, FMP headquarters going over to the, we'll come over to the hot tub.
Yeah, but remember, Cole, you can only let Eric into the hot tub in the middle of the winter.
Oh, nothing like it. Hot tubs are awesome in the snow. I've been in a hot tub when it was snowing on us. It's great. So with that, it goes, so most of our water lines are under the ground. We don't have to worry about them so much. But for those of us upriver, and I know we're not the only ones, if your home is not on city water but is on a well, make sure your well house has a heat lamp in it so that your water pump does not freeze. I've had that happen. But fortunately, our water pump is small enough that when the water stopped coming, I just ran out and, oh, hell, I forgot the heat lamp. So I plugged it in, and within like 2 minutes, we had water again. But don't let that happen to you. So empty your planters and pots to prevent cracks from freezing dirt. And Starflower's in the chat room. She says, you should see the videos on YouTube about the lady in the hot tub in dead of winter. It's just a magical feeling, I guess, when you're sitting in a hot tub and the snow's coming down on you. It's weird because you should be cold, but you're sitting in a hot tub. It's cool. Shovel any snow from wooden decks. Remove heavy snow from the branches of trees and shrubs. And if you have trees and shrubs that are touching your house, I would clip them away. Because again, you already have the weight of snow on your roof. You don't want extra weight. If you have dead trees that are around your house, I'd get them cut down too. It just adds to the power outage part.
Also, if you have a satellite TV, use Pam cooking spray on your dish.
Right. It makes the snow slide off.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we got away from that. We had that problem.
That probably make you a dish.
It was it was hard having S4 run when we had snow, just because, well, we didn't have any signal. So this one's kind of...
Snowbank will do that to you.
Huh?
So it's amazing how a snowbank will do that to you.
It will. This next one I have to laugh at. Maintain clear access to the mailbox. Oh. So that's if you live in a city. For me, I can't clear an access to the mailbox because our road that leads to the highway is a good, what would you say, a quarter mile?
Yeah.
And I don't have a snowplow of my own, so I'm definitely not going to, clear a path to the mailbox.
No, that's what's called punishment for the kids.
Oh, yeah, and it's a gravel road, so that's even double the punishment.
Yeah, it really is.
Avoid damage to grass by not walking on a frozen lawn. Who is this? Oh, this is Adult Life Services. Yeah. No. Kids making snow angels is not going to damage my lawn.
Get off my lawn.
Right? I mean, so these are great tips if you are one of those extreme landscapers that you care about your grass. For us mountain folk that live up in the mountains, we're not going to worry about killing our grass during the winter. Right now is when you prune trees, especially branches near the house. And it is time to prune trees. That's a good reminder for me. In case of broken gas line or down power lines, report incidents immediately. Oh, and just a quick reminder. Daylight savings is coming up November 3rd.
Really?
Yep. And that's when we get to fall back an hour and it gets dark earlier and stays dark later. Oh, God love it. So it's really cool. I've never heard of this one. But for those of you that have, ceiling fans, during the winter, if you reverse the direction of your ceiling fans to clockwise, it creates an updraft and pushes the heat down. And I guess that makes sense, and I guess that makes sense why there's a directional thing on the the ceiling fans. Have you ever heard of that one?
No.
Yep. Of course, my dad used to handle all of that.
Okay. So,
The idea is heat rises, so by flipping the fan around, you can drive the heat back down to where it's of some use.
Right. And if it's counterclockwise, it pulls the heat up, so it cools your house faster. And
Exactly.
And that makes sense. So like I said, I've pulled a lot of these different lists off of several different sources, like we do every week when we do our show, if we actually do research. Like next week is a Halloween roundtable, so we don't do research for that. We just think of questions. So interior maintenance. This is important to keep our fire departments from being overworked. But have your heating system and ducts inspected by a professional. This is when you want to get, have your furnace serviced, get all your filters changed out. You want to have a chimney sweep come and check your chimneys before you start the first fire. Ensure proper insulation and seal air leaks, especially in crawl spaces in the attic. Make sure all areas of the home are sufficiently lit in the absence of sunlight. Have a professional clean and inspect the fireplace, boilers, oil heaters, wood stove, and any other heating appliance. Replace or clean the furnace filters monthly. We actually go to, because we have these weird filters in our furnace, and so we go to Walmart and we pick up like a 5-pack. We have to cut them down a little bit but to make them fit. But we get a 5-pack, and we try to stay on top of the filters. Use weather strips on doors that lead to the outside areas. Increase ventilation if condensation appears on windows. Wrap and insulate pipes and water lines. Use heat trace wire with pipes in extreme cold. Clean windows for maximum sunlight warmth. And turn on the humidifier. So we'll get to what to stock your house up with later, but I pulled this off of the list too. We have flashlights in various areas of the house. We always make sure there's fresh batteries. We have a flashlight we keep in the kitchen. We have a flashlight we keep in the bathroom, in the living rooms. And they come in handy when it comes to power outages. So then we talk about garage maintenance. Am I forgetting anything here, Cole?
Candles are always a very good thing to have, even if you have flashlights with fresh batteries. Keep a couple candles on hand. And one thing...
Lighter.
Huh?
I said, don't forget to keep a lighter handy.
Yeah.
Well, us smokers always have lighters in our back pocket, so we're good. But yeah, good point.
And one thing I do like to tell people is in each room, make sure you have one small upper shelf that you can put a candle on that has at least 10 inches clearance from the ceiling.
Yeah.
And comes out about 6 to 8 inches off the wall. That you can set a tea light candle on. It helps so that you can keep the entire house almost lit.
And I'm going to so we're not a business, an industry or anything, but if you look at industry standards with OSHA and JACO being the medical, they, by their standards, anything has to be 12 inches, not even just 10, but 12 inches from the ceiling. That is for the sprinkler systems, but it could apply to, it's 12 inches, I think, is better when you're talking about candles as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, excellent point. And So like in our house, we have decorative hangings that actually have candle spots for them. Make use of those. If you have a mantle, put candles on the mantle. Make use of decorations when it comes to candles, because tea lights are great. We have a not only does FMP have tea lights for our home clearing kit and whatnot, we keep them in the house as well. Let's see here. I'm losing my voice. So, garage maintenance. Avoid salt damage by periodically sealing and cleaning the garage door. Keep the garage door clear of snow so you can get your car in and out. That is if you put your car in the garage. Insulate any water pipes in the garage as needed. Make sure the hinges and springs of the door are adequately lubricated. Add new weather stripping to prevent cold air from entering at the bottom of the garage door. Organize the garage, storing away spring and summer tools, drain fuel from gas equipment, and test manual operation of the garage door. There's that checklist.
See, the other thing I always suggest people keep handy is make sure you've got de-icer for your auto locks.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. I also read another tip on another site that they recommend dipping your keys in hand sanitizer or de-icer. Well, they also recommended heating your key up with your lighter, but I don't know if I would recommend that one. The de-icer part makes more sense.
There was also a neat little product, and I don't know if you guys talk about products specifically.
Well, that's fine.
Years ago, Amway had a phenomenal product called a hard surface protectant.
Mm-hmm.
That, frankly, I haven't found a dealer up here lately, but frankly, it used to be absolutely beautiful for putting on the front window of your car to stop the front window from freezing and letting the snow just slide off it.
Oh, there you go. We'll get to cars here in the second hour, but since you mentioned it, there's one site that mentioned putting socks on your windshield wipers and raising them off the windshield so they don't freeze to the windshield.
Oh, Jesus, no.
What?
No. That is not a good idea. So here's the deal. Socks are made out of cotton. Cotton is a material that automatically absorbs moisture.
Okay.
If you have any moisture in the air, that sock will freeze to the wiper.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, I don't go by every source I see. But I thought that was funny. At least take the windshield wipers off your windshield, though.
Well, I know with mine, like with my car, what I end up doing is I always, when I stop the car, I make sure the windshield wipers are up.
Right.
Where they're at the fully extended level. I shut them off with the windshield wipers running so that it traps them in the up line. Because if my window freezes, I can't get at my windshield wipers to open them.
Okay.
They're hidden inside the hood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of all the stupid places to put it with modern technology, but, that's just my personal opinion.
Well, that's for a car in Hawaii.
No one said auto manufacturers are smart.
I'll grant you that. We didn't.
Oh. So, set your heat no lower than 55 degrees. The temperature inside the walls where water piping is located is colder than the living spaces. Open doors to unoccupied rooms to keep an even temperature throughout the house. Now, that's going to change if you have a power outage. If you have a power outage, you want to close all unoccupied rooms to conserve heat until your power comes back on. So your insulation. Add extra insulation in the attic to guard against ice dams. If too much heat escapes into the attic, it can warm the ice and snow on the roof When it refreezes, it can cause an ice dam, which can lead to water damage inside your home or possibly even a roof collapse. Check smoke detectors, fire alarms, and carbon monoxide detectors, and replace the batteries to ensure they are operating properly. And
I don't have to worry about it. Ours goes off almost once a week.
that ain't good.
Well,
You do remember that barbecues are supposed to be done outside?
Well, yeah. That's why
it's more
I
of a
don't-
challenge if you do it in a closed area.
That's why I don't. But that's why I don't wrap up my barbecue and put it away, because we use it in the winter sometimes. It's great for when the power goes out.
Oh, absolutely.
So have your snow blower and generator serviced and any necessary repairs made. I don't have a snow blower, but
That was what I was thinking. Make sure you've got a good snow shovel, and if you can get a collapsible one for the car, even better.
yeah, that goes with the what to put in your car. Although, personally, a shovel, I think, works better than a flat snow shovel. It all depends. So, Cole, what can you tell us about servicing a generator?
Okay, so here's the deal. To determine your basic home power needs, the first thing the first thing you have to do is go buy a generator. You got to decide whether your house is big enough to warrant one of the $7,000 full home generators, or just a basic generator you can buy at any hardware store. So the first question you got to ask yourself is, do you use city or well water? Well pumps require a larger 240 volt generator, usually about 3,800 watts or above. Second question is your heating system electric, heat pump, or gas or oil forced air? Gas or oil forced air systems can get by with a very small generator, as little as 2,500 watts. The power needed is based on the size of the furnace fan motor. Electric furnaces and heat pumps typically need 15,000 watts or more to run and cannot be powered by a portable generator. Your third question is your hot water heater electric, gas, or oil-fired? Gas or oil-fired heaters use less power, as little as 25,000 watts. Electric heaters often require at least 4,500 watts. So determining what all of these things run off of is how big of a generator you would need. Most homeowners can often power most household appliances using between 3,000 and 6,500 watts. Generac has a beautiful generator at 8,000 watts, 9,500 watt running, and it's fairly low cost. It's only about $800. You can buy it at Cabela's, and it is a great machine. I personally know this will run a fridge, a freezer, 2 TVs, and
Coffee.
oh yeah, like all your kitchen appliances will run, except for your microwave. Don't ever run a microwave off a portable generator. It's not worth it. Because a lot of these appliances require they have a running wattage and a starting wattage. They require a major starting wattage, and a microwave is one of the hardest ones on a generator. Now, to insulate or to get this thing ready for the winter, number one thing I would suggest is whether if you have a portable generator, have an area near your house that you can set it inside a box that you would build yourself out of plywood or something that is insulated but also easily accessible and ventilated. So what I suggest is you take 5/8 plywood and insulate it with heat-resistant insulation, which you can buy at any hardware store. Build yourself a small box near your house and run this generator in through the In through where, Eric?
Say again.
Beautiful.
You're going to run your wire back in through your dryer vent, if possible. That is the easiest way to get into your house without causing major heat loss within your house.
Right, like cracking open a window and running the wires through the window.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it's just not a good idea.
No.
So you keep this generator close to the house so that you can still access it at all times, preferably close to one of your paths. Make sure it's well insulated so the machine itself stays warm enough to actually continue running. In most cases, a generator will only run for 8 hours on average in the wintertime. We sleep longer than 8 hours. And 8 hours is with no load. If it's got a full load of appliances running off it, it will not last 8 hours. So you most likely at night have about 5 to 6 hours on it. And you will need to refill gas in the middle of the night. If you don't get to it, that's why you have it inside the insulated box, so that machine will start up in the morning when you add more gas. Every fall, that machine should be taking it into somewhere like Camping World or Cabela's, and they will service the generator for around $100. If you prefer to do it yourself, don't. It's not worth it, honestly. For the cost of $100, you make sure that thing runs for a whole nother year. You start servicing them yourselves. It is a small engine. It has loose parts. The parts aren't built to last. If they mess it up, they pay for it. If you mess it up, guess who's paying for it?
Right. Now,
So
real quick, Tripp's got 2 points. Call an electrician before fumbling with wires. Talking about
calling an ambulance after.
Talking about your house, and I agree. Get a licensed electrician. He gets paid to fry himself, so most definitely get the professional in for house wiring. And make the roof of the house for your generator with hinges for easy access to fill and make sure exhaust fumes could escape.
Absolutely.
Points, Trip.
So yeah, just if you're running this thing for more than one day, you want to make sure every 8 hours of operation that you are checking the oil.
Yeah. And
add as necessary. These things are air cooled, so they do not require any antifreeze or anything like that. Depending on how cold it is, you might want to add inline fuel antifreeze, depending. Because I know some areas of northern Alberta, it does get cold enough that gas will freeze.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, like Trip says, nothing worse than running generators to wrong wires and burn your house down. The other thing is, if you're using a portable generator and you are using extension cords to get to it, use at least a 12-gauge extension cord.
Right.
These you can buy at any hardware store. They are more expensive. They're about $100 for a 25-foot line, but it is worth it not to burn your own house down.
Yeah, and don't forget to get the breaker line.
Yeah, absolutely.
Problem.
Yeah, even though most generators do come with their own breaker, if you blow a breaker, it really still sucks to have to go out in minus 20 weather just to go flip a breaker.
Yeah.
Yep.
And with that, I would agree. Do not cover extension cords with rugs. Oh, no, that just makes fuel. Thank you,
Yeah,
Trip.
but you got to warm the house up.
So again, going by OSHA and JACO standards, do not plug extension cords into extension cords into extension cords. Easy way to catch your house on fire.
No, one extension cord, and the longer you need it, the longer you buy it. That's the way it is. You buy one, and you make sure it's long enough that it fills your needs. But at the same time, the longer it is, the heavier gauge wire it should be.
Exactly. Yeah, and Trip says if you feel the extension cord warm, disconnect it and get a better gauge extension cord. Completely agree. Now, I think we've covered most of our home stuff, but I want to throw in here with this first hour to prepare for a winter storm. Sign up for your local alerts and warnings. The NOAA, which is the National Oceanic Atmospheric Association, I believe, or agency, is great for alerts. They have alert, apps you can put on your cell phone. With that, make sure your cell phones are charged. Get the battery packs, like we have. Make sure your battery packs are charged so that obviously your power's out. And I keep talking about power outages, but folks, it really sucks when there's 2 feet of snow and your power outs for many days. And you can route your car, you can charge your phones in your car or whatnot, but get the battery packs. I get the what brand do you have, Cole, that you recommend for cell phones?
For cell phones?
Yeah.
Oh, for a battery pack?
Yep.
I don't. I buy everything from China. It has a really weird name on it that I can't read.
I know Izzy bought one from Best Buy. I think go to don't go cheap when it comes to electronics for sure.
So if you're buying a battery pack that's to plug in USB items,
yep,
the average cost of that is around $100. If it's not $100, it's probably not worth it.
No, they won't last long. They won't hold a charge long. The one we got, I know we got at Best Buy, and she'll charge it up, and it will fully charge our cell phones 3 times on one battery, from 0 to 100, and within 15 minutes you're already at 50%. That's what she got. And Trip says most cells won't work if they get too cold. That's the same if they get too hot. And living up here, if our power is out, oftentimes the cell towers go down as well. That's just, part of living in the mountains. We expect it. But make sure you sign up. Go ahead.
I just noticed something a few weeks ago. All of our cell phone towers up here have diesel generators near them.
That might be something new too, because I know
it is. No, the generator that I saw was just being put in.
Okay. Well,
so I went down towards Rockport and checked the tower there. It has the same system.
Okay.
And these are big generators. Like, these aren't your average little generators. These are ones that they have in hospitals.
Good. So that means for those of us up here, if our power goes out, they're going to have a backup for cell towers. And that's great because, the cell towers go down. That often means the 911 system is going to go down. That means a lot of your major services are gone.
Everyone under the age of 20 is just freaking out right now.
And Trip says for emergency services, most have a solar panel to help start them. And I would agree. I'm not going to speak for our county EMS. I'm sure they've got a backup system. Most of them do. But for us to be able to get to them with our cell phones, we have to have our towers up and running. That's the problem.
Hey, I forgot to mention something about the house stuff. Okay. I know everything we just went through in the last 40 minutes, it can get pretty expensive to make most of this happen. Check with your local government agencies. I know here in Washington State, DSHS has an awesome program for low-income families. And low income is just the term they use. The actual income cap is pretty high for what you can have, but they'll help with brand new windows for your home. new heaters, insulation for ceiling and flooring, everything. They'll help with all of it. And even if you're renting, they will work with your landlord as long as your landlord will work with them. So if you're having problems with heating your home and keeping it warm, make sure you look into that. Go visit your local government agencies. Ask them what they have for programs.
Well, with that, PSE does a lot of the energy saving programs as well. So contact PSE. I know if the temperature gets to a certain point, they will not shut your power off, theoretically. But they do have programs, especially in the winter months. If you're having issues with power bills, if you're having issues with power, to help you out. So if you're not in the Upriver group, join it, because that's usually where I post a lot of the information. The Concrete Fire Department, when it gets to a certain point, if we're out of power and it's going to be out for a while, they do open their doors. And that's it's the Upriver group that we actually post those updates. And they offer cots, they offer blankets, they offer a cell phone charging station, they offer just basically a place to get out, because they have a generator for the fire department there in Concrete. So just some things for our locals here that may be listening to keep in mind. So with any disaster, as we talk, you have an emergency action plan, and I'm not going to go into that too much tonight because we go into that during disaster shows anyway. But winterize your home. Go to takewinterbystorm.org. That is the Washington State Winter Preparedness site. A lot of good information, got a lot of good checklists and whatnot. So, stocking emergency supplies. I don't like FEMA's checklist because it's based on a 3-day supply. And we get power outages for longer than 3 days at times. It's better to have more. I usually go with a week. Just saying. So you always want to make sure you're in touch with, in the community, with the disabled, with the elderly, with folks that have kids. Make sure they're doing okay.
Because those are the first ones you eat if you resort to cannibalism.
Oh, don't say that.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Oh, let's see. So during the storm, you want to close off rooms to consolidate and retain heat. So we have a safe room that we keep in our house. Being military, we always have contingency plans. We have backup plans for, basically backup plans after backup plans. So if the power goes out, we have a place to go. The house is going to get cold if it's longer than 24 hours. So we have a place to go where we know the heat's on all the time. If it gets too bad, we'll evacuate and we'll go to Mount Vernon. So always have a backup plan. Have family members that are out of state that you can call. So you can check in if any of your family members are missing or haven't come home. They all know to check in with Aunt Sally. So pets. Make sure your pets have water. Make sure your pets are indoors if feasible. If you have a farm, not many people think about farms. We live upriver. You want to make sure your hay is stocked. You want to make sure your animals are fed. Make sure your animals are in the barn. Things of that nature. Make sure the animal's water trough isn't frozen. They make really cool hot water heaters for water troughs. Aren't that expensive? Anything more to add there, Keith? Cole?
Keith?
Did we lose Keith?
No, he's falling asleep. He left it on. I can see him.
Oh, Keith. Okay. Anything more to add, Cole?
No, I don't think so. I always like to keep a well-stocked area of ramen.
Ramen is great because all you have to do is heat up some water on your barbecue, on your gas stove, things like that. Real quick energy bars, granola bars, canned food. But now here's the thing. You always notice what you're missing during a disaster. So make sure you have, a manual can opener. Because the worst thing you can find is having a whole pantry full of canned food, but all you have is an electric can opener. You ever found yourself in that predicament, Cole?
No, I have never not had a manual can opener. We had an electric one once, and I absolutely hated the thing. So
we have a big one that opens jars and cans. But yes, make sure you have can openers, manual ones, that is. And we'll get to a checklist for what to keep in your house. So check on your kids. The big thing, watch for their fingers and the toes because they're usually the first things to start freezing. When they start looking mottled skin, and that's they start looking white. That's the first sign of a medical emergency. That's called chilblains, and that's usually when your skin is hurt. When you're outside playing and you're throwing snowballs and your skin starts hurting, that's chilblains. And then it goes into frostbite. And we'll get to that in a little bit. So, when you have a snow day, limit your time outdoors. You want to dress in layers. So how do you want to dress, Cole?
Well, automatically, your first layer should either be long johns or, for those that don't know what that means, it's long underwear. It's a term we use, like don't throw donuts on yourself. But second layer should be a nice light cotton material. Third layer usually a neoprene, like a windbreaker or something. And then of course you want your heavy winter gear. North Face makes some excellent pants and jackets for kids, as well as Columbia. That is another great company to go through. A lot of their jackets are rated to almost minus 60 Celsius. So we use those. Like my family has been snowmobiling since before I was born, probably. But I think the first time I ever went on one, I was probably 3 years old. And we always had, Dad made sure we had the best of the best gear when we didn't lose our own stuff. But
right.
Every year that was what we got for Christmas was snow gear, and it was awesome. We, while other kids were stuck in their house doing nothing, we were outside playing because we always could. It didn't matter what the temperature was, and I've seen days that were minus 40 Fahrenheit, and we were outside playing, no problem.
Right.
Make sure you use balaclavas. For those that don't know that term, it's a full face covering, kind of like what you see robbers use, but you can get really good neoprene ones at any sporting goods store, and they keep you really warm, keep you well prepared, and you don't get cold. That's the wonderful part about them. So make sure your gloves are rated for the weather. Those gloves that you can buy at the dollar store or any grocery store, the little all size or any, they all fit anyone. Those ones are great for warmer winter temperatures, but if you start dropping below zero, you don't want to be caught outside wearing those. So make sure you have good gloves on.
Right. And, going back real quick, Trippin is saying carbon monoxide detectors. And we mentioned that earlier, but make sure your carbon monoxide detectors are working. When the power goes out and people don't bring your generator inside the house. Don't barbecue inside the house. Carbon monoxide is visible, it's odorless, and it will kill you quickly. So each year, an average 430 Americans die from unintentional carbon monoxide poisoning. And there's more than 20,000 visits to the emergency room with more than 4,000 hospitalizations. So carbon monoxide-related deaths are highest during colder months. And, that's because gas-powered furnaces, alternative heating, cooking, and power sources. So if your carbon monoxide alarm sounds, get to fresh air or by an open window and door and call 911. So with that, we are going to go ahead and go to our first break. Enjoy our new commercials. And when we come back, we're going to jump into the roadside and the vehicle stuff. So stay tuned.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
Forest Moon Paranormal is a non-for-profit emergency response team that handles all aspects of the paranormal, helping you, your family, friends, and community since 2004. Whether you're having a problem with hauntings, spirits, Bigfoot, other types of cryptids, or UFO activity. Maybe you're just unsure of what's bothering or terrifying you. Or maybe you're just afraid of criticism and disbelief. FMP is here for you. We handle cases globally and locally from our headquarters in Skagit County, Washington. We never accept any form of payment for our services and are 100% confidential. You can find us on Facebook under Forest Moon Paranormal. You can private message us for assistance, or just come join in the discussion and become part of our growing FMP community.
Hey S4ians, please check out one of our newest sponsors, Wiser Books. They're an imprint of Red Wheel Wiser. They publish books across the entire spectrum of occult and esoteric subjects. Their mission is to publish quality books that will make a difference in people's lives without advocating any one particular path or field of study. They value the integrity, originality, and depth of knowledge of their authors. Please check them out at redwheelwiser.com.
We've had several days of 80-degree plus weather here in Concrete, Washington. My family's favorite way to keep cool in this heat is to stop by Java Zone 2 and grab a delicious iced latte for me and a blended mocha for my husband. Our son just loves their creamy milkshakes, and our daughter can't get enough of their ice cream. The best part is, Java Zone 2 is conveniently located just off Highway 20 beside Loggers Landing. And I'm proud to shop local for a business that has been a staple of the Concrete and Upriver community since it opened its doors in 2010. So if you're looking for a way to keep cool in this summer heat, come check out Java Zone 2. They're fast, friendly, and local.
All of us here at S4 and Forest Moon Paranormal would like to thank everyone who attended and supported our 2019 Paracon. It was an amazing event that we couldn't put on without our sponsors, our speakers, and our volunteers. Be sure to keep an eye on our Facebook group, Forest Moon Paranormal, for all your updates on Paracon 2020, September 26th, 2020. Thank you again to everyone.
Well, hello there. Us here at S4 would like to remind you out there that the UFOI team weekly meetings are broadcast live on Facebook from Denny's, where America eats, each Monday night, 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at UFOI Team on Facebook. The UFOI team's gear, product store, and newsletter are located on their website at ufoiteam.com. To contact the UFOI team with your sightings report or a paranormal story, send an email to the UFOI team at gmail.com. Keep looking up and tell us your story.
Hey everyone, Cole here with S4 Paranormal Radio, the official voice of Forest Moon Paranormal. Looking for a way to get the word out there about your business, group, team, or product? Let us help you. A few clicks is all it takes to get started at s-4radio.com, or you can contact me at 360-999-2830.
Welcome back to S4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
All right, good evening and welcome back to S4 as we're talking everything winter preparedness. You can find all the archives at our Spreaker site and on the S4 YouTube channel for all the shows you missed in the last 3 years. And back to our show. So, before we start talking vehicles, what do all these warnings and watches and stuff like that mean? So I want to go over that real quick. So a winter weather advisory is issued when snow, blowing snow, ice, sleet, or a combination of these wintry elements is expected, but conditions should not be hazardous enough to meet warning criteria. Be prepared for winter driving conditions and possible travel difficulties. Use caution when driving. So a winter storm watch is issued when conditions are favorable for a significant winter storm event, heavy sleet, heavy snow, ice storms, blowing snow, or a combination of these events is possible. A winter storm warning is issued for a significant winter weather event, including snow, ice, sleet, blowing snow, or a combination of these hazards. Travel will become difficult or impossible in some situations. Delay your travel plans until conditions improve. Do these make sense? So a warning means it's going to happen. A watch means it might happen. And an advisory is just be aware. Any questions?
No.
Okay. Moving along. So before we get to what to put in the car, what do we need to do to get the car ready? Cole?
To get the car ready?
Yep.
All right. To get the car ready for winter, it's called winterization. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to prepare an emergency supplies kit. In that emergency supplies kit, you are going to want a set of jumper cables, a tire pressure gauge, a tire inflator, blankets, water, and flashlights, a first aid kit. Now with blankets, the ones that are recommended are the thin aluminum foil hot, like heat blankets. Those are excellent, but make sure you have more than one. They are so small that you can have at least 5 or 6 in your car for anyone that needs one. You're going to want a first aid kit, a phone charger. Personally, I would have a knife in there and a little bit of food as well, like some granola bars or something.
Yep.
I would also have, this list suggests a tire patch kit. To me, a normal person on the side of the road is not going to be able to patch a tire. That is not going to happen. But you can buy at any local parts store. You can buy Fix-A-Flat.
Yep, I would.
Or any related product. It really does suck for your mechanic later to clean out, but it is a good product to keep you running long enough to get you where you need to go. So that is what you should have inside the car. As Keith said earlier, another good thing is de-icer. That is not something just to have on the outside. You should honestly have a bottle of that inside the car as well. In some places, it can get cold enough that not only can your outside doors freeze, but your ignition can freeze as well. In that case, you do not put the icer straight into the ignition. What you do is you put a little bit on your key, spread it around, and then insert the key into the ignition. In order to prepare, the first thing you want to look at is tires. Now, snow tires, also called winter tires, are tires designed for use on snow and ice. Snow tires have a tread design with larger gaps than those of summer tires, increasing traction on snow and ice. Such tires that have passed a specific winter traction performance test are entitled to display the three-peak mountain snowflake symbol on their sidewalls. Any tire with that symbol is good enough for winter conditions below 7 degrees Celsius or 45 degrees Fahrenheit. If you're in a more mountainous area that gets a lot of snow, a lot of ice, a lot of hills, it's also not a bad idea to get studded tires. Studded tires are a little bit harder on your car. They are a little bit harder on your on your gas as well. So
let me jump in here real quick because I got to add, in Washington, you're only allowed studded tires from November 1st, which is coming up, through March 31st. There's no individual exception to the studded tire dates, and violators face a $136 fine.
If they catch you.
Exactly.
So, pretty much any tire that shows a tread pattern for winter is a great thing to have. These make it so that if you hit a patch of what is known as black ice, which is ice you cannot see on the road but is there, they will grip that ice better than any other tire out on the market. Second thing to look at is automatically your wiper blades. October to November is a good time of the year to replace your wiper blades. Whether they look brand new or not, they should be replaced at least once a year. They do need it. The rubber on your wiper blade, it's been in the sun all summer. You got to realize that, and it has been hardened. So make sure you change those out. The Rain-X company makes a great wiper blade for that. So make sure you check them out. They cost a little bit more, but they do protect your windshield from snow and ice as well. Every day when you go out to your vehicle, as we said, there should be a tire gauge in your vehicle. Check your tires. Even just do a walk around, give them a kick, make sure they are not losing pressure. Tire pressure drops 1 psi for every 10-degree drop in Fahrenheit. So make sure on particularly the cold days, you go check out, because you start driving on a flat and you hit a patch of ice, you are going down. That tire cannot perform to its optimum level if it is not at the correct pressure. As Keith said, there are special items that you can mix together or that you can buy in store that you can apply to your windshield, not only to protect your windshield from ice and snow, but also there are products out there that you can apply to the inside of your windshield that will help with fog. So your windshield, no matter what temperature you are when you get into your vehicle, that windshield will not fog up. Most of these items are not actually made for car windshields, but they do work just as well for them. There is one that we use for our snowmobile helmets called Tiger Balm, and it works great. I use that on my windshields every year, and it's just a small little container, and it's like a wax almost that you apply to it. It doesn't change your view at all. It's like a polish that you use on your windshield. So you just apply that to the inside, and your window doesn't fog up for at least, it usually lasts about 2 months before you have to reapply it. Make sure to check your cabin air filter. Everyone knows that cars has an air filter, but most people don't honestly know that the inside cabin has its own air filter, usually underneath the hood, but farther towards the back. That air filter essentially cleans the air from the outside before it enters through the car to you. It helps keep dirt, pollen, and other air particles that lead to lower air quality from entering the cabin. In the winter, it is best to have that as clean as possible. It helps with getting your car up to temperature a lot faster. Sometime in the fall, run your vehicle into any parts professional or service technician and have them check the battery, make sure it's performing in the way it should. There's nothing like having a battery die right on the side of the road. You stop for 2 minutes and turn the vehicle off, and all of a sudden it doesn't start again. So make sure you get that checked.
Yeah, these just to add, these freezing temperatures are hard as heck on batteries. And a lot of people, instead of putting distilled water in the batteries, they just drop straight water. Straight water freezes. Still water does not. You're supposed to put distilled water in the battery. But a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
So make sure you have your battery load tested to make sure all the cells are functioning properly. Or you're going to wind up going out to take your kids to school and your car won't start.
Same with one of the oldest tricks in the world for your radiator is if it starts overheating in the summer, throw more water in it. Well, the problem is you start throwing more water in it, eventually that becomes just water. And in the winter, your radiator will freeze or your block will freeze overnight with all that water inside of it. So I always suggest everyone just to buy one themselves. Antifreeze level checker at Shucks is like $5, and it's not that big of an expense. Run in, go get it, and it will actually tell you what your fluid is rated for. If the rating's not up there, if you feel confident, drain the radiator a little bit, add more antifreeze into your radiator, and make sure you're at the proper levels you should be. Check your belts and hoses.
So real quick, in the Army, we had to do a coolant check, and it had to be negative 30. The ones we used, we didn't use your normal battery check. We used a real quick strip. It was a strip that you dipped into the radiator real quick, and it made the little strip tester different colors, and negative 30 is what we had to be at in the Army.
Yeah.
That's kind of the standard I've stuck with. But you're absolutely right. Make sure your coolant is at the proper level.
Same with your windshield washer fluid. Unfortunately, I actually made a trip home 2 years ago where I filled up with windshield washer fluid, not thinking before I left Washington State. And the only stuff that they sold in the store was minus 2 degrees Celsius rating. Well, when we passed over Rogers Pass in BC, it was minus 30.
Yeah.
So every time I hit the windshield washer, it just started, like, as soon as it hit the windshield, it just started to freeze up. And my wiper blades just weren't fast enough to handle it, so I'd have to pull over on the side of the road, which that road is not a safe area to pull over on, and get all the frost off my windshield again. So make sure that all of your fluids are rated for the specific temperature that you have. Engine oil, you usually want to switch to a 5W30 in the winter from a 10. No, I'm sorry, from a 5W30 in the summer to a 10W30 in the winter. So most cars require every 6 months you get an oil change. Depending on how far you actually drive that vehicle, it suggests you do one in the spring, one in the fall. Your fall one, make sure they switch you over to a thicker fluid.
Trip is in the chat room too. So one thing he said, check for muffler leakage. Yeah, if you get stuck alongside the road and you are idling your car, you don't want again carbon monoxide filtering into your cabin. Also check the type of the coolant recommended for the vehicles. Some vehicles do require a different coolant specific to that car vehicle.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, he says
that's
winter,
right. Trip. Sorry.
summer.
Yeah.
Thicker
It's been a long
summer,
day.
Thinner for winter. It has.
So also check your belts and hoses. To check your belt, just flip it over. Check the sides of the belt for the groove side for any breaks, any missing pieces, a lot of cracks. If they're starting to look a little worn, take the vehicle in, have them change the belt just for your own safety. And there's nothing worse than losing a belt on the side of the road as well. Number one thing, keep the vehicle clean. Wash your vehicle as much as you can in the winter. It sounds stupid because you're just applying water to something that's going to freeze. But at the same time, our roads are all covered in snow. They're covered in ice. They're covered in dirt. They're covered in sand and salt. All of that gets onto your vehicle, gets onto the outside of it, gets underneath. Make sure you wash your vehicle, get that stuff off of it as much as possible, and keep your vehicle clean. The cleaner you keep it, the longer your vehicle's going to last.
Real quick, I want to back up to tires again, because I think a lot of people don't understand. So if you're going over the pass and you see that big sign that says what do traction advisories mean? So a traction advisory, traction tires advised means oversized loads prohibited from roadways, commercial vehicle services and load information. Traction tires required. All passenger vehicles must have approved traction tires. Chains required on all vehicles with a gross vehicle weight rating greater than 10,000 pounds, including large passenger trucks, SUVs, and RVs. Tire chains required. All vehicles must have approved tire chains, except for and all-wheel drive vehicles. So if you ignore it, it's a $500 fine if they catch you. Chains required on all vehicles. So during extreme weather, all vehicles must install chains when this is posted, even four-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. So with that, just because your vehicle is all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive does not mean you won't slide off the road any faster than a passenger car if you're not driving safe. How many, going up to Lake Tyee, I'm in a Ford Escort. It's front-wheel drive. And we're passing trucks that are off on the ditch. Have you ever seen that, Cole?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got the highway number 2 in Alberta, and you drive past there in the winter, and it looks like a car lot in the middle. It's a divided highway, and there's all kinds of cars out there.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them are taking a real good nap. They're upside down.
Right.
But it's these guys who think that, like, just because the speed limit's, like, let's say Highway 20 here, it's 55 miles an hour. Just because it's 55 miles an hour doesn't mean you have to drive 55 miles an hour. Drive for the weather. Drive for the conditions of the road.
And just because
that is number one in the learner license book is drive for the conditions of the road.
Right. And what they don't get is I'm in a 10-inch lifted. I've got mudders, and I'm jacked up off the ground, and I ain't gonna slide off the road at 55. Yeah, you will.
Yeah. And when you flip it into the ditch, you're just going to flip that much more spectacularly.
Yep.
All those beautiful light bars you have on your truck are just going to go with it.
But they'll blend right in with the snow. Won't that be cool?
Yeah. No, like, you got guys out there still trying to do 60 on that road in the dead of winter, 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's just, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, yeah, you can have the best tires in the world, you can have every precaution, but if that road's dead ice, those tires can only grab for so long before they start to harden. They're rubber. They get cold enough, they're going to harden. They're not going to grab.
No. And you're going to be in a ditch. And I'm sorry, my truck's not going to be able to pull you out. You're going to have to call a wrecker.
And Trip, that is the truest sentence ever. Those new halide lights, they suck so bad. I hate those things.
What, the ones that blind you?
Yeah.
Yeah, they should be illegal. Because, sure, they might be safe for you because you can see, 20 miles in front of you, but when someone hits you because they can't see their lane, well, maybe you'll learn. I doubt it, but maybe you'll learn. Especially the ones that have their light bars and they have the same lights and they have, 20 different rows of headlights and they think they're cool because now they can see the elk and, they can probably see Mount Vernon. But guess what? When someone hits you, you're going to go in the ditch.
Well, when they first brought out the LEDs and those silver white lights, my brother went out and picked up 2 aviation lights off of small aircraft and threw them on the top of his truck. And they were made specially for those. They were faced directly towards that vehicle. Every time he passed one that had those lights installed, he hit those lights for about 2 seconds. And you saw the guy behind him swerve a little bit.
Good.
Yeah, it makes them realize that those lights do start to kill people because, like, the statistics are starting to come out that most of the accidents are happening with vehicles those that have those lights at night.
Well, like I said, they should be illegal.
Well, yeah, they will. It takes time for them to realize that that's what the statistics are saying, and that's what the numbers are saying, that those lights are unsafe.
Yeah. Okay, so let's back up here, and let's talk about what you should put in your vehicle. So,
well,
we mentioned snow shovel earlier. Snow shovel is great for the sidewalk, but honestly, I think I put a round shovel in my vehicle.
Well, I think what Keith meant by that was one of those, what I refer to it as is an army shovel, and correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, but it's a fold-over spade.
Yeah, I've got one in the truck.
Yeah. I believe that's what Keith meant.
It's compact, so it fits anywhere.
Yeah, it fits real well. And actually, most vehicles, you can actually fit it in where your jack and all your emergency products for that are. That's one other thing. Make sure your spare tire is decent. Always make sure that's inflated and well done. Just because when you get a service, they say that they check everything doesn't mean they actually do. Check that kind of thing yourself. Make sure you know that spare tire is full.
Not to mention, how many people even check to see if they have a spare tire?
Yeah. That's the first thing I check.
Not everybody does, though. Make sure you've got one, and then check how serviceable it is.
For example, we just bought a new vehicle, and it does not have one. So next paycheck, that is my first stop, is we are going to go buy a new rim and tire that fits our new car.
Right. So next thing on my list is a snow brush. Great for the windshield, great for all glass. It's snowing heavy. A snow brush is great for getting snow off the vehicle. And before you drive, get the snow off your vehicle. In Germany, it's law. If you get caught with snow blowing off your car because you didn't brush it off, I'm not sure if it's a law here yet, or if it ever will be. But in Germany, it was you could get pulled over and fined if you were driving down the road with a bunch of snow in your car. Do you know if it's the law here yet?
I don't think it's the law here yet. I know it is in Canada. What prompted that was a YouTube video that went up and it wasn't snow, it was ice. He had a layer of ice on the top of his truck, and the entire roof of his truck, the ice sheet came off and just smashed into the car behind him and took out the entire windshield.
Wow.
Like, it hit it like a ton of bricks. It was amazing to watch, but that's because I wasn't in the car.
Right. So Trip is also saying go to the junkyard for a real rim for your spare tire. Yeah, the donuts they make for spares really isn't safe when you're driving in snow conditions.
If you're in our area, we've got Pick and Pull in Arlington, and up north near Custer on the I-5, we have Beacon Battery, which has like almost 2 acres full of tires.
And even if you go to Larry's Auto Wrecking or Farrow's in Mount Vernon and Larry's in Burlington, where the Noah's Ark is, they've got rims there you can pick up for fairly reasonable. But yeah, I encourage you get an actual spare tire, not just a donut, especially for the winter months.
Yeah. And yes, as Tripp said, make sure you have a jack.
Yeah, I don't, and this is my personal preference. I would go to Shucks or O'Reilly's and pick up an actual jack. I don't trust bottle jacks. I don't trust scissor jacks. They're not stable enough, especially if you're trying to jack up your car in the snow. I would get an actual floor jack.
Yeah, you remember the old, I don't know what they were actually called. Dad used to call them suicide jacks.
Oh, the Jeep jack?
They came on vehicles in like the 60s and 70s.
Yep. It's the one bar up.
Yes, those are still my favorite jacks just because I kind of want to see one fly off and not be behind it.
Well, you actually see them on Jeeps a lot. A lot of the Jeeps have them on the front hood.
Oh yeah, that's right, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Tripp calls them bumper jacks. That's right. That was the other term.
Yeah, because there's an actual, in the older cars, there's an actual notch on the bumper where the jack fit into the notch and it lifted up the car.
And he says bumper jacks are coming back. Do you know what vehicles are bringing them back, Tripp?
So while he's answering that real quick, flashlight with extra batteries. Nothing sucks more than when it's dark and you grab a flashlight and the batteries are dead. Have extra batteries in your vehicle. And I encourage multiple flashlights. Yeah, he says off-roaders. Jeeps.
Okay.
I see them mostly, like I said, on Jeeps. I used to be search and rescue, and most of our Jeep guys had those bumper jacks on their rigs.
Yeah, my favorite thing always to see was in the prairies of Alberta, you see all these guys with the lifted trucks.
Mm-hmm.
And they come out with their truck, they blow a tire, and they pull out the old scissor jack, and it's already lifted 10 inches at the bottom. The scissor jack doesn't even reach their truck. That is so entertaining to me because they're standing there looking at what the hell do we do now?
That's the thing. So bottle jacks and scissors jacks, to me, the Humvee, the Army, they all came issued with scissor jacks. And I'm sorry, the Humvee's not made for that. It was stupid. They're unstable. You get them too high up, and you have to get them all the way out to even remotely get close enough to change the tire. And, one little bump, one sneeze, and they're going to fall over. So I encourage you to go get a real jack. Don't use bottle jacks or scissor jacks. They're not safe. And you brought it up earlier, but windshield washer solvent, get the de-icer cleaning solution for your car, for your vehicle. It'll keep you from freezing up as you're cleaning the windshield. And a good old ice scraper. Get the good old fashioned ice scraper. You can get them in insurance companies for free.
So I have seen videos of people using bags full of hot water on their windshield. They're not pouring the hot water on, which is a definite no-no, but they're just running the hot water across the windshield. Do not do this.
No.
Any nick, any little crack that was just a little pinhole of a crack in your vehicle or in your windshield will automatically spread. That thing will spider right out to the edges. And it's not worth it, guys. Don't use hot water on your vehicle in the winter.
Oh yeah, and you said it perfectly. And I watched a video earlier that don't even dump cold water. It's just going to freeze again. It's going to make thicker ice on your windshield. But definitely don't use cold water unless you want to get rid of your windshield. There you go.
Yeah,
it'll shatter.
And just like if you use the squeegee at a gas station that most of them provide, always go down, take a look at what they have for a solution, and just swirl the squeegee around inside of it a little bit. Make sure they actually have solution in that, and it's not just water.
Yeah.
Because I've had that happen to me a few times at a few gas stations.
So Tripp is also saying in the chat room, Rain X is the best windshield washer.
And he's absolutely right.
Yeah, I would agree, because, Rain X windshield wipers get the solution as well.
Yeah, and if you're actually using the solution, just be careful with it. That solution does have to be applied at a certain temperature. If you can, take it into a garage, let it catch up to room temperature, and then apply it.
Now, with the ice scraper, so I like I said earlier, I was looking at a whole slew of different checklists and whatnot. And they mentioned using your credit card for an ice scraper. Don't do that unless you just don't like that credit card. That's a good way to crack it, and then you're just out a credit card. Get an ice scraper. They're what, $1?
Yeah, but get a decent one. Make sure the plastic is very hard. If it starts to get nicks in it, replace it, because you can scratch your windshield. As well, I have seen new products come out every year, and they are electric ice scrapers. Don't use those. Anything with the word electric in it and the idea of melting ice, probably not the best idea.
No, electric with water, period. And yeah, I don't know. I'm old school. I prefer the old school methods anyway versus some of this newfandangled technology stuff. It's just not smart. Jumper cables. So you mentioned it earlier. I recommend heavy duty. Again, go with the gauge. What gauge would you recommend, Cole?
I would say for that, at least a 14 gauge. Well, no, I'd say a 12. So if you look at your pointer finger, that is a good gauge of wire for a jumper cable. If it's smaller than that, it's probably going to get hot as you're using it.
Yeah.
There are ones you can buy. They come in emergency kits and stuff. Toss them away. You can run into Shucks. They have, or O'Reilly's, sorry, in this area, or Napa, or any of the parts stores. They have them for $30. You can get a really good set of jumper cables. It is worth it not to burn your hand off when you're trying to grab the positive.
Totally agree. Because, again, it's freezing out. This freezing weather is a drain on your battery. So you want thicker, you want better to keep your vehicle functioning. If you got to jump your vehicle off or jump somebody else's vehicle off, you want higher gauge. Next is gloves, hats, and blankets. If you get stranded, if you get stuck, well, first of all, if you get stranded or stuck and you're in a remote area, stay with your vehicle. Every time I even read that in some of these websites and whatnot, I think of the family that got stranded on a logging road off Highway 101 over by the coast. And the family stayed with the car. The father and husband went off to find help. He went the wrong way. I don't even know if they found him. If they did, they found him like in the spring. They found the family because they found the car. But he went looking for help and got lost. Stay with the vehicle. Somebody will eventually find you.
Road flares.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
So, being stranded, you want extra gloves, hats, and blankets. I keep extra stuff in the truck anyway, so I usually keep extra blankets, extra gloves. If I encounter someone that's stranded on the highway, if I encounter a wreck, things of that nature, I've got a very extensive medical kit. It just call it from being in the combat medic for 20 years. Nothing over my limit that I can do or can't do now without certification. But, the more the better. That's just always my motto when it comes to winter months especially. Warning devices. So I have two different kinds of warning devices. The flares is one. You can get them relatively cheap in any parts store. And I also have reflective triangles. So 18-wheelers usually have them. We had them in the Army. Again, being in the Army half my life, I stick with what I know. Part of the Humvee roadside kit, besides the stupid scissor jack, we had a set of 3 triangular reflective roadside devices. 18-wheelers have them now. For our locals here, the Macmillan, the Meridian Farm Auction is coming up next weekend in Bellingham. They usually have them, and you can pick them up for I usually get them for like $2, $5. Nobody else bids on them. So Trip is also saying, expecting bad weather, lift the wipers in the up position. We mentioned that earlier, but it's always good to mention that because, I've had my windshield wipers freeze to the windshield. Not cool. Also a good way to destroy your windshield wiper motor. Check expiration dates on everything and condition of everything. Flares don't last forever. Good point. If you see a white powder coming out of them, they're probably bad. Just, I don't know, common sense. Always good to inventory all your gear and then repack it each season. You got anything to add, Cole?
For gloves, I know everyone wants to save on space. And again, those little gloves you buy at the dollar store, if you're sitting on the side of the road for 3 hours, they're not going to do anything. Eventually, your hands will still get cold. They're a good thing to have, don't get me wrong, but make sure you have something a little bit better. I keep about 3 pairs of Roper leather gloves in the vehicle. Leaves enough so that everyone, even if we have more people in the vehicle than 3, we can switch out.
Right.
But I also usually have 2 sets of mechanic gloves in there as well, so we usually don't have to. Mechanic gloves work as well. They're pretty well insulated. and you can buy them at, and again, any parts store. Harbor Freight has them for like $5 a pair, and they are almost just as small as the little cotton ones, but they are warmer.
Great for driving too.
Yeah.
So on these checklists, they all say drinking water. Folks, common sense. It's freezing out. Your drinking water is going to freeze. I would suggest you keep your drinking water in the house, and before you go anywhere, you put the drinking water in the car.
Or keep the tequila in the car.
There you go. That works too. I plead the fifth. Non-perishable snacks. So, non-perishable snacks. I like granola bars. I use them for hiking on the mountain. I like beef jerky. Unless you're diabetic, I would get, some hard candy, trail mix. These are all things that will keep. Check expiration dates. But again, there's certain kits that I keep in the house. Drinking water be one of them. Your snacks I'd probably keep inside too, and then throw that particular bag in the vehicle before we go anywhere. Extra clothes. Nothing sucks worse than if you get stuck. You go out and you're digging your vehicle out and you get wet. And then, you're wet and it starts getting colder and that moisture freezes. Always good to have extra clothes and blankets and whatnot in your vehicle. Which leads us to the first aid kit. I'm sure I've got a checklist that's got first aid kit specifics. But think airway, breathing, circulation. So a CPR barrier I would keep in the first aid kit. Blood stop, anything, 2x2s, 4x4s, Band-Aids, splinting material, ACE wraps, ice packs.
Heat packs, like the little hot hands.
Yep. Those would be great. We'll probably get more into that in a little bit. Wow, we're actually getting close to the top of the second hour. We're going to go into a lot more survival type gear that you should probably keep in your vehicle as well here in a little bit. But, first aid kit, I would keep some Tylenol and aspirin. I would keep, I usually go with the main components of the body. Antidiarrheal, Imodium. I keep Tums. I keep allergy medication. If you're on medication, I would keep some of that medication as well. If you get stuck, you don't know when you're going to get home, I would keep, if you're on any kind of medicine, keep some of that in your vehicle, in the back, in a first aid kit. Make sure your name is on the label, so there is no doubt that it's yours. So Trippin is saying put the water in the engine compartment in the winter, not the trunk. But with that, again, I will stick to my guns with that. Keep the water in the house, because even if your vehicle's sitting outside overnight, your engine's still not warm. It's going to thaw it, and it's going to refreeze. It's going to thaw it. It's not fresh water. Trippin is also saying female products. Yeah, keep some tampons in there. Or pads. Whatever you or your wife use. If you're female, that's what you use. Whichever. But yeah. And don't put them in the gas tank. That doesn't do good for the gas tank.
Jesus Christ.
So a basic toolkit. So I have a little more extensive than the basic toolkit. What they recommend is screwdrivers of all sizes, pliers, and adjustable wrench. Well, go with what your vehicle uses the most. Some of them, you know how it goes. you have an import, it uses metric, but even Fords and Chevys use metric on some stuff and standard on the other. So I go with a set of both. I also have, a 1/4 inch, 3/8 drive, and a 1/4 drive ratchet with sockets. Wrenches of all sizes. And again, Trip, always, we love Trip on S4 because Trip's always got great advice. Vice grips.
But apparently we embarrass him.
We do.
Apparently we embarrass him.
Oh, we mentioned him at Paracon. What can we say? He's one of our favorite listeners. We have many favorite listeners. I got to add that too, though. So with vice grips, I would keep the small size as well as the large size, and the needle nose. Get the needle nose vice grips. Never know when you're going to need them.
Yeah, and Trip, you're right. A battery terminal cleaner can always come in handy because the best part about those things is they can be used for a lot of different things, not just cleaning a battery terminal.
I'm laughing at Trip. So with tools, again, you want to, I have one standard metal toolbox that stays in the truck. I've got electrical testers. I've got. I'm trying to think. Is there anything that stands out that is more important than the rest? Fuses.
Well, yeah, fuses.
Keep extra fuses in your vehicle.
And check what your vehicle takes for a headlight bulb. And a taillight bulb, and make sure you keep at least one of each.
Well, that goes with the inspection too. So when you're inspecting your vehicle, when you're getting it, ready for winter, make sure your lights all work. Have somebody stand behind you, check the brake lights, the license plate light, the tail lights, the headlights, both dim and bright. Turn signals. Make sure all your lights work. And Trip says fire starter kit. We're going to get there. Probably in the third hour, but we're going to get there. That goes with the survival side.
Another tool I like to keep in there, and probably one of the most important ones, is duct tape.
Yep. Duct tape, zip ties, 550 cord. So 550 cord is a paracord that is great. It's strong. I wouldn't use it for towing, but it's probably damn near strong enough, but don't try it. Do not try it. I plead the fifth, but don't try it. Bungee cords. And Trip is also saying 4-way lug wrench. Yeah, get a 4-way lug wrench because you never know what size, hopefully you do, what size lug nuts you take. But if you come stop to help somebody, every vehicle is different. Rim size is different. Lug nuts are different. So 4-way, you're covered by all of them.
Yeah, I honestly don't carry a lug wrench. I carry a breaker bar with a full spectrum of sockets.
Good way to break a socket, though.
Not if you do it right. Well, Plus, then if you break a socket, you got the duct tape.
Well, it wasn't Snap-on. It was
If
Armor.
you can't fix it with duct tape, it's not worth fixing.
Right. But yeah, no, I agree, Trip. Good duct tape, not the generic. Don't get it from the dollar store. Nothing against the dollar store. Dollar store is great, but it's the dollar store. Go to Harbor Freight or Walmart. Get the good brand of duct tape.
I like that new Gorilla tape. That is a good brand.
Gorilla makes duct tape now?
Yes.
We're going to have to contact them. So, mobile phone and car charger with important numbers programmed in it, including a roadside assistance provider. Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. I've been with Geico, and I'm not sitting here promoting anyone over the other, but make sure you have a roadside assistance. I can talk about Geico because personally I've had them actually come out and tow my vehicle, 2 times. And they've always been very polite, very quick, and that's what you want. You don't want to have to deal with the stress of, well, we don't know if we're going to cover you, or we don't know if that's in your policy. You know, go with a company you know is reputable. Go with a company that you know, talk to your friends. What company do they use? Have they ever used roadside assistance? I can tell you using Geico, they are good. I've got the app right on my phone. I hit the app. They've got my phone number programmed into my policy. Hey, Mr. Cooper, you need help? Yep, I do. Is anybody hurt? Nope. Okay, we got someone on the way. You know, it's that simple. So, always great. Also, make sure getting on insurance, and that goes with the home insurance as well as the car insurance. Make sure, make sure snow damage is covered on your home. Make sure, we don't have to have flood insurance in Washington State because FEMA has their own program with Washington State, or Washington State's got their own program with FEMA. But these are things you need to pay attention to. And we're getting close to the top of the second hour, so I'm going to... and that train of thought just went right out the window. What we're talking about? Yeah, it's late.
Keith, you okay?
It's gone. But, yeah, so make sure all your important papers, your documents, for me personally, I've got a briefcase. It's got a copy of all my insurance paperwork. It's got a copy of birth certificates, Social Security cards you stay on me, but all your important documents that you cannot live without in the event of a disaster or an emergency need to be in one spot so you can grab it and go. If I have to evacuate, all my stuff is in one briefcase. I throw it in the truck, I'm gone. And, if anything happens, all my information is right there. What I haven't done, but what I encourage you to do, is take a picture of all of your important, all your expensive stuff, your computers, your TVs, your chainsaws, all of your important expensive stuff, and have one logbook. It's got all the serial numbers documented, any receipts that you can remember that you've got. That way, if anything happens, your roof collapses, we have an earthquake, you've got everything right there. It's really easy to file your claim. Make sense?
Yeah.
So, and again, I haven't, for those who are local, most of you guys that listen to the show know me anyway. You can get these files from me at any point in time. I've actually got an inventory, it's 50 pages. I don't print out 50 pages worth of an inventory checklist, but I've got it for you if you need it. And again, like I said, I haven't done it. I just haven't had the time. I'll probably regret it when something happens, but I encourage you to do it. And Tripp says, serial number tags. Agreed. And thawing snow can flood basement when no flooding is near. And you're absolutely right. So, the last hour, because we're getting close to going to commercial break. Well, let's talk about driving for a second.
Well,
watch out for standing water. Because, folks, we are getting on winter. So what happens when we get snow and it thaws? We get into flooding season. And so many people ignore standing water on the road. Oh, yeah, again, I've got my big truck and it's not going to hydroplane. Yeah, it will. So 2 feet of water, 6 inches of water is enough to knock a person down and will install most vehicles. A foot of water can make you lose control of your vehicle. 2 feet of water can sweep a vehicle away, even SUVs and trucks. So if you hydroplane, don't panic. Avoid hard braking and quick turns. Usually, rule of thumb for me is I don't hit the brakes. I just let off the gas. Now, if there's a sudden stop in front of me, then obviously you need to hit the brake. But yeah, don't hit the gas. We're going to talk about down power lines too, because we are getting in that season now too, where the trees freeze and then the branches snap.
Yeah.
And there goes the power lines. So we got about 3 minutes to talk about power lines. So what do you do?
Hold on. Can we hit that on the next one? Because I got one more thing about cars.
Okay, go ahead.
So I noticed in this area especially, a lot of people don't know about these, but a lot of our cars in this area do come from Canada. Therefore, they are equipped with them. A lot of cars come with such a thing called a block heater. Now, a block heater is just a small heating device that is installed into the block of your engine. And then an electrical cord, just looks like an extension cord, is run from that out to the front grille of your car. And a lot of you might notice this cord hanging down below your car, and it's just a plug. Well, you take that, you plug it into an extension cord and plug it into any outlet in front of a business or in front of your house, outside. Usually a winterized cord is what you would use. And it makes it so that if you plug a block heater into your engine and have that thing going all night long, the temperature can get down to minus 60 and your car will still start every time.
And they have them, they have them a lot in Alaska. I haven't seen so many here, but you can actually have them installed in your vehicle as well. But generally speaking, we don't get that cold.
Well, they're a requirement in all Canadian provinces.
Yeah, because you're farther north. That makes total sense.
You go to the east, Midwest areas, they are required there as well.
And I know, the military in Alaska, our military vehicles have them built in as well.
Yeah, and if you see one on your vehicle, even if you live here in Washington, use it. When it starts to get cold out, Trip's saying the magnetic ones to put on oil pan. I do not suggest those at all. If you have any type of oil leak, those ones use a direct heat source. They do, unfortunately, a lot of times get too hot, and you will start your car on fire. I have unfortunately seen that way too many times.
Good to know. Good to know. I've never heard of the magnetic ones to put on the oil pan. So, but that's good to know because I wouldn't even think about it. And with climate change, and I'm not going to talk about climate change because I don't know if it's real or not. Personally, I think it's just that time where the Earth goes into the next phase. Because that's just my personal opinion. Are the humans so awful that they're actually creating climate change? I don't really think so. That's pretty egotistical to think that we're that badass. But I think it's just that time where Mother Earth is going into the next phase of evolution, and the climate changes with it.
Well, we can safely say the pollution isn't helping, but no, they're definitely not causing it.
Hey, good morning,
Good morning, Keith.
And I fully agree with you, Keith. And with that, we are going into the last break, and when we come back, we'll carry on this conversation, and we'll talk about water over the roadway as well as her winter survival. So stay tuned.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
Forest Moon Paranormal is a non-for-profit emergency response team that handles all aspects of the paranormal, helping you, your family, friends, and community since 2004. Whether you're having a problem with hauntings, spirits, Bigfoot, other types of cryptids, or UFO activity, maybe you're just unsure of what's bothering or terrifying you, or maybe you're just afraid of criticism and disbelief. FMP is here for you. We handle cases globally and locally from our headquarters in Skagit County, Washington. We never accept any form of payment for our services and are 100% confidential. You can find us on Facebook under Forest Moon Paranormal. You can private message us for assistance, or just come join in the discussion and become part of our growing FMP community.
Hey S4ians, please check out one of our newest sponsors, Wiser Books. They're an imprint of Red Wheel Wiser. They publish books across the entire spectrum of occult and esoteric subjects. Their mission is to publish quality books that will make a difference in people's lives without advocating any one particular path or field of study. They value the integrity, originality, and depth of knowledge of their authors. Please check them out at redwheelwiser.com.
We've had several days of 80-degree plus weather here in Concrete, Washington. My family's favorite way to keep cool in this heat is to stop by Java Zone 2 and grab a delicious iced latte for me and a blended mocha for my husband. Our son just loves their creamy milkshakes, and our daughter can't get enough of their ice cream. The best part is, Java Zone 2 is conveniently located just off Highway 20 beside Loggers Landing. And I'm proud to shop local for a business that has been a staple of the Concrete and Upriver community since it opened its doors in 2010. So if you're looking for a way to keep cool in this summer heat, come check out Java Zone 2. They're fast, friendly, and local.
All of us here at S4 and Forest Moon Paranormal would like to thank everyone who attended and supported our 2019 Paracon. It was an amazing event that we couldn't put on without our sponsors, our speakers, and our volunteers. Be sure to keep an eye on our Facebook group, Forest Moon Paranormal, for all your updates on Paracon 2020, September 26th, 2020. Thank you again to everyone.
Well, hello there. Us here at S4 would like to remind you out there that the UFOI team weekly meetings are broadcast live on Facebook from Denny's, where America eats, each Monday night, 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at UFOI Team on Facebook. The UFOI team's gear, product store, and newsletter are located on their website at ufoiteam.com. To contact the UFOI team with your sightings report or a paranormal story, send an email to theufoiteam@gmail.com. Keep looking up and tell us your story.
Hey everyone, Cole here with S4 Paranormal Radio, the official voice of Forest Moon Paranormal. Looking for a way to get the word out there about your business, group, team, or product? Let us help you. A few clicks is all it takes to get started at s-4radio.com, or you can contact me at 360-999-2830.
Welcome back to S4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
All right, welcome back to S4 Nights. Everything you want to know about winter safety and preparedness. You can also find the archives at our Spreaker site and on the S4 YouTube channel for all the shows you missed in the last 3 years. And back to the show. So, what do you have to say, Keith, about all these people that global warming and your climate change and what's the? I have noticed, like I said in the beginning of the show, that it's been a wetter summer. I didn't have to irrigate the garden near as much as prior years, and the fires were down. And now it's freezing sooner. and I don't know what to expect. I think we're going to have a pretty nasty winter, to be honest with you. But what's your opinion of all this climate change?
Well, other than the fact it's about 10,000 years late, granted, the pollution that mankind is generating is not helping the situation, but mankind is not powerful enough to actually create climate change.
I agree with you completely. They say, well, the Industrial Revolution started it with all the factories and the smoke and the pollution. And yeah, but you're talking less than 100 years, and it wouldn't be this devastating this quick.
No, I mean, and that's what I mean by the pollution doesn't help. But how do you explain the Ice Age coming on before, when mankind wasn't here to help?
Yeah, and I agree. So is it just that time where the Earth is going through another phase?
It is nothing but a normal breathing position for the planet.
So what do you think we have to look forward to? You think we have another Ice Age to look forward to?
Well, I don't know about you. I won't be alive long enough for it to happen.
I agree. But do you think the Earth is going to start getting colder?
Oh, yeah.
But
I'm not expecting another Ice Age anytime soon, and by the time it gets here, mankind will be functionally off the planet anyway.
Right. Because I sit here, they talk about, the scientists sit here and talk about how the Earth is warming up, it's heating up, which is causing the polar caps to melt and whatnot.
Which I have no doubt about.
Say again?
I said, which I have no doubt about. Of course, Earth does that regularly.
Mm-hmm. And so Tripp is saying the pole is proven to be moving, still pondering if it's tilting on its axis a little more with Alaska having warmer winters, and Northeast seems to be getting what Alaska did. So are we expecting a polar shift?
Well, again, I'm no geologist, but I can tell you from everything I've seen, yeah, but it's not an issue of, this idea people talk about all of a sudden the planet's going to stop spinning for 3 or 4 days. That ain't the way it works. I mean, can you picture how dead people would be if all of a sudden the sun stopped spinning? Or the Earth stopped spinning?
It would be a global killer.
Oh, yeah, because half your planet would freeze solid, the other half would be cooked to the bone.
Yeah. I don't think it's anything we need to worry about. I don't want to be accused of a fear monger when I'm not pushing fear, I'm pushing preparation. But I'm not pushing preparation for a global shift because, well, I don't think we have to worry about it in our lifetime.
I'll do it. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
All right, let's talk about water on the roadway. So, like I said before the break, 6 inches of water is enough to knock a person down. And that's, I think they're talking more of the flash flood issue. Listen to the signs. And the motto is turn around, don't drown. So if you have water over the roadway, which, Francis Road is always flooded, every year, damn near. But people like to drive it anyway. And that's when you have search and rescue that has to go out and actually rescue them. And the sheriff with the water rescue. You're wasting time and resources because you didn't want to listen. So frankly, you don't know what the road condition looks like underneath the water. If it, crumbled, if it fell into the river, if it whatnot. So you're putting yourself and many people at risk when you don't listen. But anyway, down power lines. So if you're driving along the road and the power line falls and you got wires on your car, what do you do, Cole? Stay in the car. Exactly. You always assume the
keep
power
your hands-
line is live.
Don't touch anything metal.
Nope.
Um,
What were you saying, Keith?
It says you keep your hands off anything metal inside the car at the same time.
Exactly. And then you dial 911 and report it. Tell them that you're inside the car. You got potential live lines that are on your car. Now, the only time you want to leave your car is if it starts smoking, if you feel that your car is on fire, and there's a I won't say simple, but there's a process you need to do to get out of the vehicle. One, again, not touching anything metal. You open your door, you jump as far as you can, and you don't lift your feet. You shuffle your feet away.
but when you jump, you land with both feet touching the ground at the same time.
Exactly. And you shuffle away without picking up your feet. That's how you get away from downed power lines if you're in your vehicle. But again, you don't want to do that absolutely unless you actually smell smoke and you feel that your life's in danger because your car's on fire or something like that. Otherwise, stay in the vehicle, keep your hands on the steering wheel, or at least away from anything metal, and dial 911, let the authorities come and get you out.
I wouldn't even say smell smoke. I would almost say like see signs of smoke.
And I agree.
Because a down power line is going to create fumes.
Right.
Whether they're inside your car or not, you're not always going to be able to tell.
I agree. And so I wanted to bring that up because we are coming into winter. This is when the trees freeze, the branches break, they take out power lines. Happens every year. So it's
already did in Cape Horn,
right? And you know the chances of you driving, it could happen. You could be the one that's stuck in a car. So when you're driving and you start sliding, how do you react?
Well, if you do like I did when I went into a 720 one day, you wave at the car on the way by, but I don't know if that's safe. But it was.
You're waving and stuck inside. Oh, I'm sorry. I can actually picture it. You're waving in slow motion as you're sliding past them.
Well, I mean, we pulled a Mixmaster thing. Right? I mean, what else do you do? The one thing you don't do is panic.
Exactly. Don't panic. You want to turn your steering wheel into the slide. If you turn the opposite direction away from the slide, you're going to wind up doing donuts in the middle of the road. Hopefully in the middle of the road and, not off the road. But you want to turn it into the slide and then correct it as soon as your car corrects. I don't know. I've slid so many times. I guess it's second nature. It's an immediate response. And I didn't say this, but if you really want to get it to where you're in second nature, wait till it snows and go out into a completely empty parking lot and try it.
That's actually how a buddy of mine taught me to drive on ice.
Well, that's the best way to do it. In a safe environment, in an open parking lot, away from any kind of cars and get yourself comfortable.
Well, I strongly recommend that if you're going to do something like that, find a qualified driving instructor to teach you.
Well, that too. Or if you're a kid, have your parents teach you.
I have a story about that kind of. So it is hunting season right now. And one of my first hunting seasons, my dad took us out and we were in his 85 Bronco. And we're sitting on the edge of a coulee. And we are staring at this beautiful white-tail buck. But none of us have a tag for it. So we're just sitting there watching it, waiting to see a muley walk by type thing. And all of a sudden, the buck is standing still. but it's moving away from us. And we can't figure what the heck is going on. All of a sudden, we realize we are sliding on the ice on the ground down into the coulee sideways. And it's us moving away from the buck.
Oh, that ain't cool. Now, I'm confused. What exactly is a coulee?
It's like a valley, but small.
Okay. So you're sliding down a hill?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one that was wondering what a coulee was.
Our Canadian listeners, I'm pretty sure understand.
No, we got it. There's a few.
Well, let's say so we just pick up extra words when we need something that we don't understand necessarily.
Bigger than a culvert Trip. A coulee would be about a 40-foot from top to bottom, about 40 feet across. Small valley.
Also,
small.
Saskatchewan ditch.
Yeah, pretty much. And the one. We only have one. Don't forget that.
It's okay. They got
share it.
Saskatchewan as well. It's funny. A buddy of mine used to live over there, live in Saskatchewan. They came up with a peak that literally said the summit was 6 miles above sea limit. 6 miles rather. It was. I think the thing says that the summit was 6 feet high.
Yeah, as far as I know, so Saskatchewan has one registered mountain, and that is,
I mean,
right
6 feet up. The thing that threw me for a loop was when we found out that they actually had an Olympic downhill ski team based in Saskatchewan. And I'm just sitting there looking now, knowing the prairies, where do you find a hill?
Well, we honestly build them.
Well, you sort of have to.
So the mountain in Saskatchewan is called Mount Carmel. And it's right dead center almost in just outside of Humboldt, Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
And it's man-made.
It's a man-made mountain?
Yeah, it's leftovers from a salt mine, I believe.
Well, I mean, that's like the one they built in Calgary just so they had one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're creative up here. If we don't have landscape, we build it.
Yeah. Well, my hometown, Drumheller, Kayla's family, the first time they came up there, they described it as you're driving through these prairies, you're just driving, and it's fields as far as you can see, and all of a sudden, all the fields are gone, and you drop down into a valley.
Yeah, well, it's like my little brother used to live out in the middle of nowhere. He said it was great. His dog could run away, and he could watch him run away for 3 days.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go over the ultimate roadside emergency kit. And this comes off Bug Out Bag arcademy.com. That's weird. Anyway, so recommended supplies. And we're going to go over a list of resources for you folks to look up if you want more information. Or you can just contact me off the FMP group, and I can send you files and whatnot. So the first thing they recommend is a durable canvas bag to store your supplies in. So looking over several different resources, some recommend a Tupperware bin, some recommend a coffee can. Depends on how extensive you want to go. Just remember, the more extensive, obviously the more room you're going to take up in your vehicle. So it depends on how big your vehicle is. It also depends on what your comfort level is. Me personally, when it comes to survival, there's many different. Remember some key things here. You need food, water. You need a fire source, and of course you need heat and medical supplies. To me, those are some of the key things. I'm a big, huge coffee drinker. I have to have my coffee. So when it comes to survival, I recommend you get Folgers coffee bags. It's a tea bag, and it's coffee. All you need is hot water. And
You just got to remember, with Eric, it's more a question of survival of the other people around him if he doesn't have his coffee.
Exactly. My point. But no, if you want to, I believe in surviving comfortably. And so there's many different kinds of fire sources for your emergency heater, for your emergency cook stove. And real quick, Trip is saying, please don't forget to check all animals' paws. Snow and ice can cut the animals' paws. So if you got cats and dogs, just bring them in. And we have chickens. So chickens are really susceptible to ice as well. They can get frostbite on their toes real easy. So watch your chickens.
Right. Keep them in the fryer.
Well, that too. But no.
My real thing is they try getting out of it once you put them in. You did something wrong to start with on the cardboard.
Ideally, they have a hen house to go into. If they're layers. If they're meat birds, then they're definitely in the fryer. So there's a couple different varieties of emergency stoves you can have. And I've got both of them. One is a folding stove. It can fit in your pocket. You can either use sterno. For fire sources, you can use a flint. You can use a strike bar. You can use a lighter. Strike anywhere matches. Go to Cabela's. Look on Amazon. You can get this stuff anywhere. Even the hardware stores have the flint strikes. And all you need is, well, if you're stranded, some tinder. Some people recommend taking your dryer lint and putting it in a Ziploc bag and keeping that in your supplies. It's quick fuel. It'll burn hot. It'll burn long enough for you to start getting the fire going. And then just get your tin cup and you put your coffee bag in it and some water and you have a cup of coffee. You're not laughing, Cole.
Sorry.
Well, you drink as much coffee as I do. I figure you'd love that one.
I have a problem with the tea bag ones.
Well, they're better than instant.
Oh, okay, that's not even coffee. Why would you even bring that up?
Kind of like drinking decaf. Like, why?
Right?
Well, that's if you can't actually brew a pot. Anyway.
Well, if you can't brew a pot, your first problem probably is that you've been drinking decaf and you can't stay awake to do it. Okay.
Anyway, next is the no-spill gas can. And they recommend getting 2 5-gallon cans. Now, if you have a generator, you can't have enough fuel cans. Would you agree?
Yeah, but isn't this in your bug-out bag?
Yeah, this is going in the back of your vehicle. This is a vehicle bug-out bag. Not bug-out bag, but this is for your vehicle emergency kit.
Okay, I do have to stress, I understand that there are no spill gas can. I don't suggest if you drive a closed vehicle, anyone carry gas in the back of your vehicle.
No, I put it on top. Or I get a jerry can. So you can get a jerry can at most of your military supply stores or military surplus stores. And that's the old 5-gallon Jeep can, basically.
Yeah, the metal ones.
Yeah, exactly. And have them checked. Make sure there's no cracks. Again, every season I would inspect all your gear. You can inspect all your equipment. Make sure there's no cracks in the welds. Like I bought a metal can at an auction, and well, it was cracked. Fortunately, I only paid $1 for it. Flat tire inflation.
Now, if only you could fill it for that.
Say again?
I said, now if only you could fill it for that.
Yeah, right. Good luck with that. $20 to fill that damn thing. Spare car fuses. Again, we talked about that earlier. Let's see here. Blankets. Fire extinguishers. So, in our truck, we actually have 2 fire extinguishers. And the more common one is the ABC. And that's for any fire. So, if you have an electrical fire, you don't use a type A. And that's usually a silver container. So why wouldn't you put a type A extinguisher on an electrical fire?
I'm guessing it's water-based.
Exactly. So how would you put out a grease fire?
See, this is what's called a pop quiz.
Okay, when you say how do you put out a grease fire, do you mean with which fire extinguisher do you use?
Yeah.
Then the silver one, but I can't remember the classification.
No. You don't use a silver one. A grease fire. So usually your grease fire is in your kitchen. You smother it. You take the oxygen away. You don't ever use a type A. You don't put water on a grease fire.
It's not a type A. It's a powder based. It pulls all the oxygen out of the air.
So that's a type D. That's actually for metal fires.
It's the ones that it's what all the hood fans in kitchens have automatically hooked up to them. But we were required to buy one for
those
our outside events.
Those are expensive as hell.
Yeah, they're about $350.
Yeah. So a grease fire, you just grab the pan. Usually you take it outside, you put the lid on it, and it smothers the fire out. So in the Army, there were a lot of, I was a safety inspector, so I had to do the accident investigations a lot of times. And a lot of the housing fires were caused because people they panicked, and they didn't understand that when your stove is on fire, it's a grease fire. You don't put water on a grease fire because it spreads. So, yeah, absolutely tripping. Tripping says powder. So you can put flour. Flour will put the fire out.
Baking soda.
But usually you just throw a lid on the pan and it smothers. But they found through investigation that most of these fires were caused because the people panicked and they threw water on the fire, which spread the fire throughout the entire kitchen.
I saw something that they developed in Japan. It's a vase or a vase, however you say it.
Right.
That holds flowers, and if you have a grease fire in your kitchen, you are supposed to take the vase and throw it at the stove. And it has a fire retardant gel inside of it that will put out any fire.
Right.
And like half the kitchen was on fire in the video they showed. They threw this vase at it, and it all went out.
And Trippin is saying baking soda ruins the meal. Well, better ruin the meal than ruin the house. That's my motto.
So does flour for most meals.
Right. Oh.
Mind you, when I was in the one kitchen I worked in, we found the worst thing for the meal was when the roof fell in.
Well, that too, and that's probably from the weight of the snow. In
a little roof
cases.
Never hurt anybody.
What? The roof?
Yeah, a little roofing never hurt anybody.
No, it had some protein to the meal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're coming down to the last half hour of the show. I want to talk about hypothermia.
That's cold.
It's cold. Say again?
I don't. It's cold.
I know it, and
Also,
it's really uncomfortable. So you can actually get hypothermia in the summer. All hypothermia is when your core temperature drops below. Oh God, I have to look it up. I want to say below 95. I think it's lower than that actually.
yeah, I don't know what the temperature is. I just know that you get awfully cold and your brain goes on vacation.
Exactly. And
Now,
I think
a lot of people that happens before the hypothermia starts in.
yeah. And usually, if it's summertime and you are going into hypothermia, you've got other issues causing your core temperature to drop below the required temperature. But
you're correct. 95.
95? Okay. But in the wintertime, it's most common because people didn't wear the proper layers of clothing. They were overexerting themselves. They might have been hiking. They might have panicked and started running. Either way, their core temperature dropped to below 95. The signs of it are uncontrollable shivering. These are the first signs of it. Memory loss, disorientation, incoherence, slurred speech, drowsiness, apparent exhaustion. Now, the danger point comes because your body starts shivering to exert heat, to make your body start warming up. When you stop shivering is when you're at the point where you're close to death, because now your body's exerted so much energy, it can't shiver anymore. So it can't make itself heat up. So if you detect symptoms of hypothermia, you want to get the victim to a warm location. You don't want to warm them up too fast, or you're going to put them in a shock. But quite often you'll get them in a sleeping bag. You'll put somebody else in the sleeping bag with them, and slowly you'll gradually warm them up naturally that way. Either way, that's a hospital trip. You want to remove the wet clothing. Warm the center of the body first by wrapping the person in blankets or putting on dry clothing. Give them warm, non-alcoholic beverages if the person is conscious. Take the person's temperature. If it's below 95, seek medical attention. So that's hypothermia. Signs of frostbite. So frostbite is a loss of feeling and white or pale appearance in the extremities. It's usually common in the fingers and the toes. Fingers, toes, earlobes, face, and the tip of the nose. Again, you want to warm up the extremities. You want to warm up the nose. Warm up the frostbitten part. Obviously, you don't want to just dip that part in hot water, like some people would think. Some people have done, but it's a gradual warming. Basically, with frostbite, your extremities have frozen. They're basically a block of ice. So you want to get, this is, again, a trip to the doctor, a trip to the emergency room. You want to bandage the part, the fingers, the toes, whatever, and get them evacuated. Anything else, Cole? Keith?
No, the best I can tell you, the one thing I did find, and it almost is backwards, but if your temperature starts dropping too far, if you wear glasses, even though it may make it harder to see if you take your glasses off, you'll find that it's actually easier for you. Because even with plastic frames, if you're wearing glasses, those frames will bring the cold straight to the temples.
Okay, and that makes sense because the metal frames, especially. If you have glasses with metal frames, same with the jewelry. I would think if you have jewelry on.
Yeah, the problem is especially with your hands. If you're wearing rings, getting them off is a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, by the time you know you need to, it's usually too late.
Yeah, and that goes with frostbite too. If they got a ring on, you want to get the ring off before the finger starts swelling, especially. And that's where ring cutters come in handy in your first aid kit. Not everybody thinks of that, but that's an important tool to have if you have to get rings off, things of that nature. So Tripp's bringing up a couple things depending on location. Check your clothes and towels for spiders that came in for the winter. In our area here, we just have to worry about the brown recluse and the black widow. Those are the primary two, along with ticks. Fortunately, it's been a really bad year for fleas this year. I know any of our local listeners would completely agree with that. Fortunately, it's starting to freeze. The fleas are starting to go down. So the only two poisonous, potentially lethal spiders here is the brown recluse and the black widow. So, yeah, I agree. Make sure you anything, sleep bags especially, if you're bringing them in from outside, shake them out. Make sure all the critters are gone. Sun blindness, snow blindness is an important thing to discuss too. Wear sunglasses. If you're a skier, snowmobiler, or a snowboarder, you should be wearing sunglasses when you're out playing in the snow.
Well, in all fairness, you should be wearing sun goggles.
With sun goggles, I agree. Okay. Makes more sense. If you're driving, wear sunglasses.
Yeah, and not just goggles, but like I talked before, the balaclava, it helps prevent snowburn, which really does suck. That hurts so bad when you get that.
So go into snowburn a little bit.
So it's almost exactly like a sunburn, but it's your face does burn from the reflection off the snow of the sun, but at the same time, it has gotten so cold as well that you actually start to kill the cells below the skin in your face. So not only does your skin peel, but during that entire time, it will actually full out blister.
Okay.
And it's underneath that first layer of skin that's actually blistering, so you are going to be in pain for weeks.
Right. So, and I know you described it a little bit, but what are the signs and symptoms of snowburn or windburn?
Redness. At first, you'll start to lose feeling completely. It's exactly like a frostbite.
Okay. Okay.
So you'll start to lose feeling, and then it'll become pins and needles, and then complete absolute numbness, and by then you're pretty much screwed.
So what's the first aid for it? I'm sure it's put a dry dressing and then get them to the emergency room.
Yeah, that's pretty much all you can do. If it's a light burn, aloe works just like a sunburn.
Okay.
But if it gets to the point where if you notice any darkening of the redness of the skin, so if it starts to turn black, you need to get into the emergency room as quick as possible.
Okay. So, anything more on winter safety? I think we've covered everything. I think we've delved into it a lot more. Every year we do winter safety. Every year we wind up talking about different aspects of winter safety, so it's really kind of cool. Not always the same topics that we discuss. Do we have anything else to talk about with winter safety?
Not like I'm thinking offhand.
Don't eat yellow snow.
No, don't eat the yellow
Okay,
snow.
well, you stay away from the green and the brown stuff.
So I want to discuss real quick some additional resources for our listeners. The CDC has a winter preparation guide, prevention guide. Just go to the cdc.gov website and look for disasters /winter/guide. Winter driving tips. You can go to the nhtsa.gov. winter storms. Let's see, the NOAA is a great source for winter storms. Weather.gov, Red Cross, FEMA. And if you're in Washington, take winter by storm. Is the Washington State readiness website. All right, so Keith, how's your book doing?
Well, we sold off about half of them. I'm still looking for. I'm waiting for a couple of submissions as far as artists go. But we are expanding on what we've already got. I'll be looking into Amazon this week. We are now on eBay and in Facebook Marketplace.
Okay. How many copies have you sold?
25 of the original. Yeah, I think we sold 25 now.
Oh,
we
that's
originally
awesome.
printed 50, so half of them are gone.
Yeah. That's awesome. So where can folks find your book?
Well, you can find them on the book is Races of the Worlds, and you can find it on eBay. You can find it on Facebook Marketplace, and of course you can order it directly from me at Inner Voice Enterprises at yahoo.ca.
All right, that's awesome. And I look forward to the updates next year, especially. Because I know you're going to do drawings and whatnot of the craft that they fly and what some of the races look like.
Yeah, I've literally got the rough sketches of all of the ones that are listed in the book already. Of course.
Do you have any new races to add to it yet?
Well, a couple of the obvious ones that should have been in the first one would be the Atlanteans. Okay. And the Atlanteans, I will be bringing in what people call Sasquatch, which again should have been in this one, but ran out of time.
Right. All right. So next week, October 19th, we have our Halloween roundtable. October 16th, we will be on Dead Man Radio with Cryptamnesia talking paranormal and FMP. And for our locals, October 27th will be our first, it's not going to be team training, it's going to be an FMP open house from 2 to 4 at the Mount Vernon PUD in the Aqua Room. It's basically going to be, we'll have our team applications. We're going to do a one-on-one with each of you and figure out what your skill sets are and where you'll fit in the team if you're interested. What your specific interests are, whether it's Bigfoot, whether it's UFO side, or whether it's just ghosts and hauntings. And, you don't have to be... A lot of people are scared of the paranormal. I get that. That's fine. But there's somewhere that everybody can fit, whether it's on the extended care team, the astral team, you want to be a researcher, you want to just be a techie. I'll throw you with Cole, and Cole can teach you the tech side. Won't you, Cole?
Anytime. And,
we're always looking for guests on S4. So if you're listening and you think have what it takes to be on the show and tell us your experience or tell us what you researched in, by all means, contact me and we'll get you on the show. So next year I'm looking at different speakers for Paracon as well. Got some excellent publishing companies that are reaching back to us, and because we're always looking for sponsors as well. So if you have a company you want to be advertised on S4 or on the Paracon website or on the FMP website, we can always use you. We're always looking for equipment to test out for you. It's been a long night. It's been a long week.
Yeah.
So I want to thank Cole Wegleitner, our technical analyst, and R. Keith Andrews, our alien race specialist. And again, stay tuned next week for our. We always have a blast on Roundtable, and I'm reaching out to some special guests for the Halloween Roundtable because it's the spooky month. Not really. But some people call it the spooky month.
So, are you bringing Michael Myers online?
You know what? That would be awesome. We need to find Michael Myers. For sure. Or what about...
Yeah, I'm just thinking he'd be a nice addition. Well, probably not nice, but he would be an addition.
Well, you've got me thinking. That's why there's a moment of silence there for a second, because I've got someone I might be able to reach out to that actually played Michael Myers.
Isn't he dead? Like, I'm so confused by that now because they ignored the... Like, we were supposed to pretend one of them didn't happen in the newest adaptation, and... I hate when they do that.
Oh. All right. So, yeah, stay tuned next week, because you never know who I might bring on the show for the Halloween edition of the Roundtable. And then we're actually going to go into what's so spooky about Halloween the week after that. Because somebody mentioned about the veil thinning October 31st, and I'm sorry, I don't see it. And I agree with you, Keith. It's, all the anticipation and all the excitement and everyone anticipating a thinning veil, which actually brings more spirits into our world. But does the veil thin? Not really.
No.
You go to the bar, though, and the clothing does.
Well, yes, and it does feel that in the middle of the winter that the clothing gets thinner.
Right.
Yeah. The odd part is it feels like it in the winter, and it definitively gets thinner in the summer.
So anyway, you got a paranormal emergency, you got a paranormal issue, look for Forest Moon Paranormal on Facebook, jump into the group, or if you're just curious what we do, jump in and have some fun. So thank you again for listening to S4. Keep your eyes to the skies. Remember, it's you, our listeners, that give us a reason to produce S4. Stay safe out there, my friends, and we'll see you next week.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight on S4, the official voice of Forest Moon Paranormal. You can contact S4 through our website at www.s-4radio.com or on Facebook. Make sure you give us a like on our page and join the Forest Moon Paranormal group. If you are interested in advertising, take a look at our packages and contact Cole or Eric at 1-360-999-2830. Again, thank you. And remember, keep your eyes to the sky.